Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Wolfie TV. And we're going to be speaking about the huge game that is ahead of us this Saturday at Molineux. It is Wolves taking on Chelsea. And in all honesty, we probably do with some points in this one because the relegation battle is really started to heat up. We did have quite a bit of luck, actually, with how results went in the week, but the relegation battle is really close. And we've really got to start making use of these home games at Molineux, even against a team such as Chelsea. So, guys, let's start off by looking at the latest Wolves news and start off with the positives, of course. It's been announced today that Hwang Hee-chan is finally fit and back in contention for the team. To be honest, it's one of them. I think he could maybe make a real impact towards the close of the season, especially if he can stay fit, of course. Especially coming off the bench as well. I fancy him to maybe come on and be one of those players that can contribute, hopefully getting maybe one or two late goals to get us those key all-important points. And that's pretty much where the good news stops. Let's have a look at some of the bad news. Of course, as we know, Ruben Neves will sadly be out for the next two games, which really does leave Lopetegui with a couple of questions to be answered. Firstly, what kind of formation are we going to see with the absence of Ruben Neves? And of course, who will take his place? We have, apart from Neves, a pretty much full squad back now in terms of that midfield position, with obviously Boubacar Traore being fit last week. It remains to be seen whether we'll be favouring João Gomez or whether we will go for Boubacar Traore. I think both of them could actually contribute really well in the upcoming games and obviously offer something quite different, both of them. So it wouldn't surprise me if across these next two games we maybe do see both of those players getting some game time. Another player that we've also got to watch carefully is Nelson Semedo. Now, of course, he's got the same issues as Ruben Neves did, but if he does pick up another yellow card in the next, I think it is 3 games, he will see an additional 2-game ban, which is quite worrying considering the choices that we've got at right back at the moment. Well, of course, we've not really got a lot at all. I mean, hopefully he doesn't pick up a yellow card. Fingers crossed it doesn't happen because we really do need him. Let's talk about Lopetegui because, some things have been coming out this week. He's been criticised by various pundits about not just him, but also the team's attitude and discipline. Martin Keown was one of those that said that he just always looks up for a fight, which was a bit ironic given the kind of player that he was on the field. We've also seen the team criticised and obviously everything that's happening around Daniel Podence. It still remains to be seen whether the FA are going to officially charge Daniel Podence with the spitting incident that happened with Nottingham Forest. And of course, if he does, apparently he could be banned for as much as the rest of the season. So it is a really serious offence if he does get prosecuted for it. Prosecuted, the right word? I don't know. But if he does get, obviously, if it does get found that he's guilty of it, he will end up serving a ban. It's going to be interesting. I really do hope that Lopetegui doesn't now seem to be a target of the referees. I think we've had some really poor decisions from referees, and I'm hoping that, him reacting to that now doesn't mean that the referees look to kind of use him and our players as an example, because that's just going to probably lead to more poor officiating and also more adverse results going against Wolves as well. So it's going to be an interesting one to watch over the weekend. Guys, let's move on to speak about some Chelsea news because there has been quite a bit that's been happening with the team that we're facing on Saturday as well. Obviously, the big news is that Mr. Frank Lampard is back. Now, a lot of managers usually come and you just feel a bit nervous when a manager is replaced and a new one comes in because you do fear that they're going to give them that bit of a new bounce. I can't really say I'm massively fearing Frank Lampard, and it just makes, me have more questions about the way that Chelsea are running to go and get rid of Graham Potter to then bring in Frank Lampard, who, well, we know about his Chelsea history, but his recent tenures as a manager really haven't been successful at all. And after recently getting fired by Everton, I did think he'd have to probably go down the league and start in the Championship. He has been rehired by Chelsea to the end of the season now, which will obviously give him a massive opportunity to prove himself once again in the Premier League. And we do know that he's managed quite a few of those players before, which could obviously mean that they do get a little bit of a bounce come Saturday. Let's hope that doesn't happen now. Another player that, of course, is worth talking about for Chelsea is N'Golo Kante. He returned for the first time after a long period of absence in the game against Liverpool, and he pretty much returned back to 100% instantly. He looked like he hadn't missed a large part of the season, and he looked like a real complete player. I think that could possibly cause us some additional problems on Saturday if he is back to his best, obviously clearing everything, getting and dominating that midfield, considering especially we are losing Ruben Neves. Of course, Chelsea have also got another amount of players coming back from injury, and it does look like the majority of their injury scares are now behind them, which means we could see a pretty full fit Chelsea, and of course a pretty stacked bench with all the kind of signings Chelsea have been making. So it's going to be an interesting one to see how the visitors do line up, and of course they have been having problems in front of goal. So let's see how that goes. I'm hoping that they continue to obviously have trouble in front of goal. Guys, just a quick one from me before we get back to the video. Please do me a massive favour if you are enjoying the video so far. Hit that like button for me and also subscribe to the channel if you've not done so already. Now let's get back to looking at what the possible Wolves lineup can be for this weekend. Goal. Let's move on, though, and speak about how possibly we could line up, and I'll just make this a bit bigger for you guys. I think this is possibly one of the options. I've got two options which I think Lopetegui could line up with. This one that I've brought up, though, is one that I think is possibly the more likely, especially if Lopetegui is a little bit, let's say, cautious of what Chelsea could possibly offer. We've seen Matheus Nunes used on that left-hand side now a couple of times, or quite more than a couple actually under Lopetegui. Me personally, I'm not a massive fan of it. I think we see much more from him when he is in the centre of the park, and it probably explains why maybe we've not been seeing the best of him in general. I don't really think it works when he's put out on that left-hand side. It means that we don't really have much going forward, and for a team that's obviously only scored 20 goals this season in the Premier League, I do feel we need that extra attacking member, and we, especially at home, we can't just be sitting back and allowing a team like Chelsea to attack us, especially now they've got the likes of, the fullbacks with Chilwell and Reece James fit. Another thing that I wanted to point out is obviously, with Ruben Neves out, it does mean that someone else is going to have to come into that midfield. Well, I think we'll still go with Lamina, and I feel like João Gomez could be the option that Lopetegui goes for, mainly just due to his defensive ability on the ball. And I think that means that we could see a lineup like this. I've gone for Diego Costa up front with Matheus Cunha. I think those two could link up really well. Let's bring up my other option now that I think could possibly work. This one. And this is just a little bit of a tweak. Obviously, the same formation, the majority the same players. I think this would be my preferred option. Matheus Nunes moving into that centre midfield position. I think it would obviously, we'd probably see a lot more from Nunes playing in that role. Moutinho then wouldn't have to be the one constantly getting forward. I think it would work better with Nunes being the one to get forward. And also then it does allow an extra attacking player. I'll put Podence up on screen. The main reason for that is I feel like if we played maybe with a bit of a narrow approach than usual, that would allow, Matheus Cunha, for instance, I think he's more of a number 10 than he is a number 9. I think him and Diego Costa could link in well together, but also getting Podence in the position where he's striking balls was also a massive benefit. As we've seen, he is now our top scorer after the goal against Nottingham Forest. Another option would be obviously to replace either Podence or Cunha with Adama Traore to give us a little bit of width, and then maybe using Adama down that right-hand side it would be, and then having another player to play off Costa coming inward from that left-hand side. I think this is going to be a really interesting game in general, guys. In all honesty, what do I think my score prediction is going to be for this one? Oddly feeling a little bit positive. And I'm probably going to eat my words, and probably by 10-5 on Saturday, my optimism will be completely thrown out the window. But it's a massive game at Molineux, and I've just got a really strange feeling we're going to get something out of this. I'm not going to go full on positive. I'm not going to go for the full 3 points, but I've just got a feeling we might get a draw out of this. So my score prediction is a 1-1 draw. Guys, let me know your thoughts on everything. What would your starting lineup be? What have you made of all the Wolves news that's come out this week? And finally, most importantly, get those score predictions in the comments as well. And if you haven't done so already, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you on the match reaction after Saturday's game. Take care. Have a good one. Goodbye.